This is FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. In this bulletin, committee dismisses petition to hold a referendum to change the national flag. Report finds LTA management lacking transparency and efficiency. And Fijian Elections Office kicks off voter registration. A petition to hold a referendum to change the national flag has been dismissed without hearing by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Law, Justice and Human Rights. Committee Chairman Ashnil Sudhakar told FBC News in this exclusive interview that the dismissal is based on the absence of any current legislation on holding a referendum. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
3 months ago, opposition MP Viliame Ngavoka tabled in Parliament a petition signed by about 1,500 people to hold a referendum to change the national flag. The parliamentary committee tasked to look into the petition has made its decision.
The committee found that there was actually no basis for us to hear that petition. The reason being that the petition was asking for the country to go on a referendum to decide whether to change the flag or not. But we looked through the laws, we sieved through the laws of Fiji. There is no provision for referendum on anything except changing the constitution, which is specific to that.
Committee Chairman Ashnil Sudhakar says the petition will now be referred back to Parliament to advise further.
By referring it back to the Parliament means that the petition has to come in another form. It basically stands dismissed or struck out rather. Petitions are supposed to be dismissed, and it's returned to Parliament with the view that this committee will not hear it.
Sudhakar adds any other petition of a similar issue will have to wait at least half a year to get a hearing.
So the petitioner can now, under standing orders, bring us another petition outside the 6 months. There's a requirement that once a question or petition is put, if it's not heard, a similar petition or the same petition cannot be brought back to the Parliament in 6 months.
A report on the petition's dismissal is expected to be tabled in Parliament in the July sitting. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The Ministry of Anti-Corruption has found out a lack of transparency and efficiency in the management of the Land Transport Authority. A report which was compiled by the ministry was submitted to the Minister of Transport and Infrastructure, Parvin Kumar Bala, today. Shireen Lata has the details.
While submitting the report, the Minister of Justice and Anti-Corruption, Ayya Sayed Kayum, raised concerns about the number of allegations of corrupt practices within the LTA.
There was also a number of complaints raised on the fact that the processes were too tedious or too slow. There was laxity on the part of the agencies, and of course very basic things like unprofessional behavior and demeanor of the staff, a lack of customer focus.
Sayed Kayum says several complaints were also received against some LTA board members. The review took place after a number of complaints were received by the officers of the Prime Minister and the Attorney General. The Anti-Corruption Ministry has recommended the Transport Ministry to set up a committee to review the legal framework and enforcement of LTA. The recommendations also include reviewing of the PSV application process, the complaints unit and the base permits.
The report is out. The very first thing that I need to do is to appoint the review committee and also a complaints team. Within 2 weeks we're going to appoint this, and also there are certain recommendations that's forthwith which we will implement.
The report was prepared after a wide range of meetings and public consultations in which the members of the public and the stakeholders in the land transport industry provided their views, issues and concerns related to the industry. Shireen Lata, FBC News.
LTA Chief Executive Naisathu Deva earlier told FBC News he is aware of the incidents of corruption, but it's not an institutional problem because they have policies against such illegal practices. Assessors in a multi-million-dollar road scam have delivered a unanimous verdict and found 4 men guilty on all charges. The case involves the road upgrade works at the Nausori Highland in 2012, where it's alleged businessman Feroz Jan Mohammed and 3 others circumvented procedures to gain over $3 million. Chanel Sivan files this report from the Suva High Court.
After deliberating for about 2 hours, all the 4 assessors gave a guilty verdict to all the accused involved in the case. The accused are bar businessmen Feroz Jan Mohammed, former civil servants Ilyasa Turangadhati, Navitilai Tamanito Kula, and Isaiah Leah Ono. Mohammed, Tamanito Kula, Turangadhati are charged with bribery, obtaining a financial advantage and abuse of office, while Leah Ono has been charged with causing a loss. They had pleaded not guilty to the charges. It's alleged Mohammed, the director of TF Jan Bulldozing Company, paid $110,000 to the 2 employees of the then Department of National Roads. He then allegedly lodged false invoices and circumvented procedures to obtain an advantage of over $3 million. The case ran for about a month, and it was revealed that out of the 14 payments made to Mohammed's company, 12 of them were overpayments. Mohammed disputes that the money paid to Turangadhati was in form of royalty payments for the use of his land and was also for the purchase of fish, as Turangadhati had a fish business. The case has been adjourned until 10 a.m. on Monday, when Judge Justice Paul Madigan will deliver a judgment. The accused are released on bail. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
The Fijian Elections Office has begun its voter registration for the 2018 general elections. Supervisor of Elections Mohammed Saneem says the exercise is to ensure they capture those citizens who have reached the voting age of 18, as well as update the details already on the electoral roll. Maggie Boyle with the story.
3.5 years from the next general elections, and the Fijian Elections Office is in preparation mode, launching the registration for new voters.
Phase 1 of voter registration in 2015 is basically to capture young Fijians who have just turned 18 and who are now eligible to register. We're going with the concept of having a person choose to register, knowing that this is a voluntary system.
With an estimated new voter pool of 13,000 citizens, Supervisor of Elections Mohammed Saneem says this measure is to keep the electoral roll current.
It is good practice to continuously update the roll, and the Fijian Elections Office, in light of such good practices available, is taking advantage of that. And we also want to have an updated register at any point in time, so that we are able to deliver a very up-to-date roll in case there is a need.
He adds city halls and schools will be on their list to visit over the coming weeks.
FEO is going to make strategic logistical arrangements where we will be at certain locations at strategic times, mostly so that we are available for the person rather than making the person make an effort to come to us. This registration exercise is just the beginning of many more to come until the next election.
The voter registration exercise is expected to be rolled out over the next 3 months, ending in August. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Still to come on FBC News, accident victims tell of their suffering years after the mishap.
If you just joined us on the System After Dark, this is a homegrown number courtesy of E3 and Cracker.
Bulla, how's it going? I'm D, your host on the System After Dark, right here on Today FM. Today's hit music. You can catch me weeknights at 7 p.m. That's from Monday to Friday, only on the home of Today's hit music. And don't forget, that's D with you every weeknight on the System After Dark.
Fijians living in Canada will be able to celebrate Fiji Day with Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama in August. Representatives of the Fijian Canadian community presented airline tickets to Bainimarama in Suva. The chairman of the Fiji Day celebrations in Canada, Nethani Ngudake, says they are honoured to host the Prime Minister and his wife. Fiji Day celebrations will be held in Vancouver from the 4th to the 10th of August. Fiji Airways has made its case as to why the airline should be listed as an essential industry in the Employment Relations Amendments. General Manager Government Affairs Shanaz Voss appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights today. Edwin Nund reports.
Fiji Airways fully supports the amendment to the Employment Relations promulgation.
Fiji Airways is of firm belief that the bill will help Fiji Airways as an essential service and industry, contributing to almost 35 to 40% of the country's GDP.
Shanaz Voss told the Parliamentary Committee that while Air New Zealand and Korean Air and other airlines fly to Fiji, none are as committed as the national carrier.
These airlines, which owe no allegiance to the Fijian people, can potentially withdraw their services to Fiji at any time for political and/or economic reasons. The sustainability of Fiji Airways, therefore, is vital to ensure that Fiji's other revenue-generating industries are not handicapped.
Fiji Airways says it's been able to turn around its performance, make profits and look after the welfare of its workers, all while listed as an essential service. Voss adds the company is here to stay.
Fiji Airways is not a fair-weather airline. It is here to stay. It is here to operate services in the event of natural disasters. Fiji Airways is the only airline that will be here to service, and it has been proven in the past that we have successfully done that.
Fiji Airways has submitted that the ERP amendments will guarantee the company and its workers an efficient and fair legal framework without compromising operations. Edwin Nund, FBC News.
Young women have been reminded of the importance of knowing about Parliament, its processes, procedures and functions. Watisoni Raikandroka reports Speaker of Parliament Dr. Chico Luveni told Fiji Young Women's Forum this morning it is important to be informed.
Participants of the Fiji Young Women's Forum have been told to understand and know the roles of the 6 parliamentary standing committees. Speaker Dr. Chico Luveni says it's important to stay connected and involved with Parliament.
Your representation and input in these Parliament committees is an excellent opportunity to raise women's issues, particularly putting intergenerational inequalities into focus. I urge you to take this seriously.
Dr. Chico Luveni says a good understanding of the policy processes will enable them to interact with the policy process and affect the policy positions, approaches and behaviors.
Policy process is usually considered to include the following main components: agenda setting, policy formulation, decision making, implementation and of course monitoring and evaluation.
The Speaker also stressed the importance of networking, developing effective links and trust-based relationships with policymakers, the media and other stakeholders so they are engaged fully with policy processes.
The forum provides key opportunities and training for young women to engage in direct dialogue with policymakers and connect with women who are deemed movers and shakers within the political arena. Watisoni Raikandroka, FBC News.
Road accidents cost the country about $30 to $40 million annually. While the financial losses can be estimated, what can't be calculated is the suffering of victims long after the road accidents. Ellen Stalls has more.
Rosie Kisun was in a minivan accident in 2012. It's an accident that changed her life forever. She went from being an able-bodied person to learning how to live as a disabled person.
It took a lot of convincing for them to for me to accept the fact that if I don't amputate my leg, I would actually lose my life.
She then had to learn how to fend for herself and constantly remind herself to keep a positive mindset and never lose hope.
It just takes one accident to change someone's life around. Just drive carefully and always remember you have someone else's life in their hands.
A place of refuge for these disabled persons is the Spinal Injuries Association. Director of the association, Joshko Wakaniasi, says accidents can happen to anyone.
If you think that you're the safest driver in the world, you don't know about the other oncoming vehicles. You can never judge circumstances.
While his own paralysis was not a result of a road accident, he believes that more work needs to be done to lessen such injuries. For some, these injuries are not physical, but rather psychological, and has a lasting impression on the victims and their families.
Contemplating whether they will make it or not, you know.
Philip Navuku's family was involved in a serious car accident in June 2008, just outside Navua, that almost cost them their lives.
8 years have gone by, but I can still picture their faces during the time of the accident.
His wife and 2 daughters suffered a number of injuries, and the driver of the vehicle actually lost her life, all because the driver of the oncoming vehicle was driving under the influence. Now, as the anniversary of the accident approaches, the memories of that day continue to remind the family just how fortunate they are to have survived. This year alone, there have been a total of 29 road fatalities, compared to 24 for the same period last year. Helen Stalls, FBC News.
And that's a story all of us will definitely have to think about. We have sports up next. Here's Jamie with the latest.
Thank you for that, Jackie. Good evening. Coming up, huge donation to enhance cricket Fiji development and France-based duo to boost Latoka Rugby's Skipper Cup side. Details after the break.
Gold FM, only the classic hits. Beautiful song from the group Firehouse and When I Look Into Your Eyes. Before that, you heard from Smokey Robinson with One Heartbeat. We'll take a short break and join us in the next hour for more music from Seal. Bulablaga. I'm DJ Tora. Join me every weekdays, 7 until midnight on the Premium Classics. Right here on Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Cricket Fiji will soon be receiving a major boost towards its development program. The sporting body stands to receive at least $200,000 worth of sporting equipment, which will sustain the growth of the sport for the coming years. Tale Ndawdakadaka reports.
Cricket Fiji chairman Gaurang Patel has announced his personal donation of over $200,000 worth of equipment. This will include match balls, bats and wickets, as well as protective gear, which will be distributed around the country.
It is a part of facilities that we need to move on, and we need to develop cricket in Fiji. As we are looking in first 2 years, we are just concentrating on facilities that equipment is also part of that, and this should move along the development of cricket in Fiji.
The assistance has been received with open arms by Cricket Fiji.
In the game of cricket, we have to have new cricket balls all the time. There is an innings. A cricket ball here normally costs $90. So in every game it will be $180 worth of cricket balls, and that is, say for example on a Saturday where we have 9 games, that is 180 multiplied by 9.
The Fiji Sports Commission commended the assistance and urges local business houses to get behind local sporting bodies to help boost sports in the nation.
We can't supply all the funding. It's an impossibility, and so we rely on sponsorship, and the Minister of Finance the other day when he was talking at Fasenot very clearly pointed out that we rely on sponsors.
The good news comes at an opportune time, with the national women's side to participate in the Pacific Games in Papua New Guinea next month. Talendo Dakadak, FBC Sports.
The Latoka Rugby Union is still waiting for clearance of France-based players Watisoni Voto and Metuisela Talimbula from the respective clubs to feature in the Skipper Cup competition. Latoka Rugby coaching director Pakuki Vadala says the duo are expected to feature for the Maroons in the 7th round of competition.
The case associated around Metuisela and Watisoni Voto is just a clearance from their clubs, from the French club. Voto mentioned that he's been off contract, so we just want to get it clear. So make sure that the FRU get the clearance, and from then on we go ahead. As long as the French rugby give us the okay, we'll accommodate straight away.
Latoka will take on Suva at the ANZ Stadium at 3 p.m. tomorrow. McDonald's Fiji has been associated with the Olympic Day Fun Run since 1996, providing participants with T-shirts as well as a venue for the start and finishing line in Nandi. This year is no different. The fast food chain today handed over $6,000 cash, which will contribute towards T-shirts and $900 worth of McDonald's meal vouchers.
McDonald's always been a great partner with the Olympic movement, especially since you've been part of the Olympic Games for a very long time, and to partner with us in this event, it's just awesome.
It's another opportunity for us to give back to the community and to provide support to Fastenok on this very important event that we've continued to sponsor and that we're going to definitely continue to sponsor again in the future.
The Olympic Day Fun Run will be held on the inaugural National Sports Day public holiday next Friday at Maisuva Park and McDonald's in Nandi. It has now been confirmed that Fijian international Roy Krishna will feature for the national team against his club side, the Wellington Phoenix. The Lambasa man will be joining the national team camp next week, and while the Phoenix had wanted Krishna to play for them in one of the two matches, this has now changed. The striker will be a boost for Fiji with his inside knowledge of the Phoenix. The first match will be played on Saturday week in Suva, followed by the match in Ba on the following Tuesday. The Phoenix are coming as part of the Fiji Airways launch for the inaugural flight between Nandi and Wellington. Yeah, that's it from Sports Tonight. Good evening.
Fiji Coffee is hitting two birds with one stone at the Fiji Tourism Expo in Nandi. The company is using the expo to promote its coffee as well as raise funds for cancer patients. Fiji Coffee General Manager Philip Lowe says every visitor to their booth receives a free coffee and is asked to contribute a gold-coloured coin toward the cause.
Everything we do here today, we want to serve a great coffee, not just a good coffee, to the people here, showcase Fiji coffee, but also at the same token, like I said before, fundraise and make it a worthwhile purpose, an event.
Lowe says all the proceeds will go to the Fiji Cancer Society. Fiji Coffee has outlets in Lami and Namaka and Nandi. A strong wind warning is in force for Fiji. Strong southeast winds with average speeds of 45 to 55 kilometers an hour hit many areas today. It was cloudy with some light rain in the east, sunny across much of the west. Temperatures: Lautoka topped the charts with 30, while Suva managed only 25. We can expect another cool night tonight. And tomorrow should see lighter winds and sunshine in the west with cloudy skies and a chance of showers in the east once again. Further outlook: expect some improvement on Saturday for mariners. The seas are rough to extremely rough, so take care. And the main points again. The government says any move by the International Labour Organization to hold a commission of inquiry into workers' affairs will be detrimental to the country. The Fiji Women's Rights Movement has backed calls by various unions to review provisions for essential services in the Employment Relations Amendment Bill. And the districts of Lautoka and Lambasa have been declared emergency areas to limit the spread of Asian subterranean termites. To our poll question for this week, we're asking, should fines for traffic offences be increased? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply #FBC News. You've been watching FBC News. I'm Jackie Spate. Good night.